You start when you're working on the door. You start working the door, and he'll come in. I'll have a fight, yeah. I'm the best fighting giz with this lad said, which is a little town not far from here. And anyway, I knocked him out. I said, I guess I must be the best fighting giz now.
Were you doing boxing training at that point?
I started training with a man called Frank Yatton. He was a pro boxer. He was about 60 odd. He was a bit like Mickey and Rocky type of thing. And I stayed at his house. And we used to run up the sand dunes. And he had a dog called Max and Sam, two Labradors. We used to go run with the dogs. And I used to train, and he'd show me how to box, how to throw punches and everything. So it's not all about the big, massive punch. It's the speed and how you move and
the agility movement.
Yeah. Well, he said when I did a book by a man called Julian Davis, and he interviewed 300 fighters right across Britain, and he had me on the pads out the back, and I was hitting the pads. And he went, "Fucking hell!" He said, "You can't be that big and be that fast. You defy the laws of physics." He said, "You're just phenomenal. My hand speed and the way I moved and that, for my body weight and that." He said, phenomenal speed. So
yeah, because you've got a because they say, I've spoke to a few people and they says that you had the potential to become Britain's strongest man and a potential heavyweight champion.
Yeah,
so you had that potential. So
I even had a chance of being. Do you remember? You might be too young. The British Bulldog.
Yeah,
he was
wrestler.
a wrestler. Yeah. Danny something Smith. I think he was called. I could have been a tag partner with him, but it's got blew it all. And I also got a chance to go.
What happened?
Drugs, different things, getting into fights, going into jail, things like that. I had another chance to play for the Miami Dolphins as I don't know if it's a running back or whatever you call it. There was one called the Fridge years ago. He was 26 stone, but I weighed 24 stone. I was really fast at running. And they had a chance of doing that, and I blew it. I had a chance of 3 movies with a lad called Tony Nunn. He had Stanley Baxter. He had Dinah Dawes, he had Jimmy White and Tony Mio, all them type of people. And he found me, he said, I'm going to make you a star. And he had me in a film called The Giant. I'm going around going, fee-fi film type of thing and all that. And I blew it again through the drugs. It's just been a fucking dickhead,
Do you think when you were getting these opportunities, do you think you never had the confidence to grasp one? Because maybe you were getting bullied back in the day, so it was easier to hide away from the drugs?
No, we was mum's house in South Bank, and he was sitting down, putting his shoes on. He looked up at me and went, I must be fucking crackers. Look at the size of him, because I was 24 stone, huge. And he shook my hand. He said, I was an arsehole that day, shook my hand. Anyway, we went out, made £15,000 in a couple of hours. I thought, fuck it. I was doing the doors. I had about 8 doors. I was making about 300 quid a week. I thought, fuck the doors, like that. So
that's where it all started.
Off,
but your friend Lee, he was brutally murdered.
He was, yeah.
How long after you became friends?
Well, I was with him for nearly 4 months, 3.5, 4 months, and I had a fight with a big lad. It was one thing I can't stand is bullies, as I've told you,
because of your past.
Bullied, yeah. And I seen 4 doormen beating a kid on the floor. But anyway, I knocked 2 of them out, and the police come and arrested me. Anyway, they put me in a van, but I was that strong. I kicked the van door, the hinges off, jumped back out the van, and then ended up getting me in the van, kicked another van door. Hinges off, so I got a nick for that. Anyway, I seen this like a couple of days later. I've knocked him out. Now went on remand, and while I was on remand, Lee was stabbed to death. But he'd also been shot twice before that. So, and somebody had. This is how pathetic this is. It's like you throwing petrol on me now. Right, a gallon of petrol would be in a bucket, and you're trying to get a light. So I punched it to stop you from lighting it, and Lee got charged for breaking the lad's jaw, who tried to set him alight.
So no self-defence.
Yeah, self-defence. And he was on remand for that. So, but he was 4 attempts on his life, and suddenly he got stabbed. Off a lad called some lads. There was about 30 of them come out. 6 of them had handguns, shot at me. They all missed me. My mate behind me got shot. He weighed 12 stone. I was 24 stone at the front, charging them like at the battle of the English and Scottish, on them fields like them. Now charging guns. I think he's fucking crackers, them. But I thought they were just pretend guns.
Did you have a death wish then, where you were fearless of death?
I wasn't bothered. Still not bothered. Let me see. Another time, I come out the Blues. It was like a rave type club for like black lads and that, and was in there. One of my friends ran to the lad, come with a shotgun, stuck it on him. I jumped in the middle, and the gun was on me, the shotgun. I went, no, then shoot me. Fucking shoot me. Don't bother me, I'm going to die. Once I'm dead, I don't think about it. I said, but all these witnesses here, all going to jail for life. And then we just turned and run. But when you think what could happen, obviously you could have been killed, you know what I mean? But
so then when you were taxing people, Brian, how did you pick the people that you were taxing? Was it the serious criminals who were making the most money, or was it petty criminals?
No. It was anybody who had anybody.
Anybody that had money.
Didn't give a fuck who they were, how big they were, how many people he had, how many guns he had. I wasn't bothered. And most of the times I do it by myself, or I'd have a girl in the car with me, and I'd just go and take the money off, all the gear off them. But sometimes you'd go in, you'd fight. I remember going in one house, there was 8 or 9 black lads, ended up knocking 6 of them out in the house, and I took all the money, the gear off them and the drugs and everything. But then other times you've walked in, and I lined 7 of them up, to search them all, come out with the $5. So sometimes you get out, and another time I went to a caravan. I knew the sled of the caravan, and I went in. I found £36,000 with the speed, because you can smell, it's like cat piss, the smell. And we've had kilos of coke taken off them. And I'll tell you this because I've been nicked for several offences that nobody else has been nicked for. We allegedly taxed a lad from Nigeria bringing heroin into the country, or cocaine, one of the two, and we took it off him, allegedly, a gunpoint armed robbery. And the police come and arrested me. There was 17 in them days. There wasn't no helicopter then, it was just the aeroplane and the company house. And they had the Zuzi troopers, and we all stood behind the thing when they had the different guns than they've got now. And they said, come out with armed police, screaming and shouting. But you can tell, because they've all got Irish accents, because they're all ex-SES or they're all ex-army type of thing. Anyway, I came and got arrested for armed robbery of a drug dealer bringing drugs from Nigeria into England, going to sell them and then taxed by me and another couple of people. So I was charged with it. I was taken in, and the lad never picked me out of the lineup. But we went to court, and the judge said, "This can't go to court." He said, "He's bringing drugs into the country as a drug dealer, and they've took it off him. Who's the worst? It's not going to be able to make." The judge kicked it out. So ridiculous charges. So I was working off 40 years. You know what I mean? So working the doors 30 odd years, and I was working like 40 doors. So when you're working like in 40 different clubs, you're fighting every single night.
Do you think because you loved fighting that much, that was like a license to fight?
I think
back then,
you
can get away with it. Nowadays, it's all changed, but
you can't even just shout at anyone now. You get charged.
It's all licensed. And
But what it was is people wanted to fight you, and that's what it was, because everyone was at the training and wanting to be fighting, the boxing and all that stuff. So, but you get beat, you'd win, you'd lose, you'd draw, whatever, you know. I mean, I had a fight with a lad called the Gypsy lad. He was 6'8", a bit like Tyson Fury. No one ain't as good as his type of fighting, but he was a top fighter in the country. He had 300 fights. They called him the dentist, and he used to hit you with a big right hand, knock all your teeth out, and you used to have to go to the dentist. That was his nickname. So he tried this with me.
The Gypsies are tough bastards, man.
He tried it with me one night in Spennymoor, and I broke his jaw in 6 places, you know, and he come back with a shotgun, and I ran at the car when he had the shot coming out, and I kicked the window and smashed the window and the fucked up.
Why did they come back?
Because
he got beat?
Because he got beat, yeah.
But
he even went to the fucking police, and I had to hide in a big massive fridge with all these hamburgers and stuff on top of me. So the police couldn't find me. That was Spennymoor, their top hat. They were like backward, if you know what I mean, not trying to be disrespectful, but they were all like, I'm fucking like Neanderthal. And be like 40 or 50 National Front skinheads, and they'd be throwing money at us. That wasn't so bad. Then they started throwing stones. I was like, fuck this. So I comes out and I dropped 4, 5, 6 of them. Anyway, he hit this other one, he hit the deck. And as I'm looking back, always looking about, you know, as I'm looking, he gets hit and he falls on his ass and he goes, that didn't fucking hurt. So he gets up. And he went across the road, and anyway, a car hit him and broke both his legs. I shot, that fucking hurt though, didn't it? And later on, there's a policeman walking by. He said, I thought he was going to nick me. He said, did you hear about the lad who got knocked over? I said, oh yeah, I heard about that, officer. He said, the funny thing is, the ironic thing is, it was his own car, and it was his brother-in-law come to pick him up. So the things are just, things that happen are just mad. And it was my birthday, I was 26-year-old. He said, what are we going to do? I said, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Charge! And I just fucking ran at them. And as we ran at them, they all dispersed. And my mate got hit in the head. He got 22 stitches in his face, got a brick in his head. But it's charge. It was like that, the light brigade. Top lads, all he said. I would say I wasn't saying it was the 6th hardest man in the world. What he was trying to say, there's probably 5 more people like you on the planet could have done what you've done and survived. And McIntyre said the same. He said, how you've lived all these years, what you've done, and the times with guns pointing at you and everything is just unbelievable. He said, we know it's true, but if somebody had written it in a book, they'd think it was made up, you know, but we know it's true. Obviously, it's in the papers and everything what's happened to you.
How much money?
It's in the papers and everything what's happened to you.
How much money do you think you've spent?
Millions and millions and millions.
Yeah.
Yeah, millions. I'm not bullshitting you.
Yeah,
Honest. I took 250 grand in 1 week off them when I took. I went to these three lads. They were blabbermouths. You won't do this, you won't do that. So I found out where they lived, where they'd done, what dogs they had, where they lived, all the stuff that. And I met them. I said, right, I want 20 grand off you. So they went, 20 grand each, but really I only wanted 20 grand off them. But he'd opened the door for me. And my IQ's 134, so I thought, of course I want 20 grand each. You don't think I want 20 grand for the 3 years? So anyway, they were 2 days later, a day later, so I charged them an extra 10 grand for being late with the money. And they met me, and they said, oh, we've got a problem. He said, 20 grand of it's Scottish money, as you know, Scottish money, £200 notes, the little red ones. So they give me 20 grand. I went, okay, that'll do me, pal, because it was, Scottish £100 notes. Yeah. So
was there a lot of people